Hello folks, Boatbro here. I know there are a few standard and modern matchups which are a bit casual, and I would post them today, well tomorrow, but probably after the GP, I think, because I don't think I'll have time for everything tomorrow. So I will bring you this and two more tapes for modern, the matchups which I think are going to be very important this weekend and moving on for a while. So this one is Country's Company versus Eldrazi Tron, and then we would have Company and Tron up against John Dev Shadow. So those are the 3 additional tapes I recorded for modern, so just so that I can basically, prove to myself that I'm on the right deck, and because I've been mainly thinking about the Company deck and the Tron deck for Copenhagen, and I like both. Both have pluses and minuses, but it's a very tough choice. It's very close. Basically, whatever you're gonna see, whatever the way the games will play out for either of the decks, think of the fact that what the decks have and what they can do. So just try not to be biased and try not to be delusional. I was about to start my turn with the Company on the left, while my friend who's been given the Tron deck by me actually paused me because he was taking the mulligan down to 6. I'm not sure, but there's a chance that after that matchup I changed the deck a little bit. I know since that test session I hadn't, but because of all the Company decks at these last Star City Games Open and the Classic events, they've been kind of flooded to a certain extent with Company decks. This is why I changed a little bit this Eldrazi deck. So his turn 1 was just a turn 1 Tron piece and nothing, but that deck doesn't have all the 1-drops in the world. I didn't have an amazing turn 2 with so much mana available. I basically just had a tapped Temple Garden and cast the Vizier off the birds. He's now playing the Chalice for 1 just to try to slow me down somehow, but this Chalice was 1 turn too late basically. It prevents me from casting further 1-drops, but with bird already on the play, well, it's obvious what's gonna come down. So I attacked for 1 with the Seer because, well, why not? It's not like I had a Chord in hand. Maybe I did, but it's obvious that with 4 mana up, I'm just about to cast the Company here. So among good things he can do here is to cast a Fortnite or something. I'm not sure what his second land was there. It might have been Sigurd Wreckage. In that case, that is kind of like annoying. He does have the Wretched Bone here, so in a turn he can nuke away my Seer and the bird. And this is just because I actually have 1 Wretched Bone main deck in that Tron deck, because it's good for Shadow and it's good for Company. Didn't feel that amazing to play 2 main deck, but of course there's 1 more in the side, that's for sure. But I didn't want to, cut all the Mind Stones from the deck. One of the reasons is that not only they just give you that 1 mana boost that you often need to cast Fortnite Seer and Smasher and stuff on time, But they also speed off like all this dust, for example, and sometimes Karn. But point is that like Chalice and 2 is actually big against this deck and against Storm. So cutting Mindstones completely is probably not the best idea ever, but some lists have tried that, and I did as well, but I wasn't too happy about it. Okay, so what I'm having here is a Kitchen Things plus what Devoted Druid, and I think I sacrificed end of turn the Kitchen Things just to try to find the Vizier of Remedies, just to basically go off here. So those were the creatures flipped from this company. It's pretty obvious that he's gonna charge up the Ratchet here, but it might be too late. Because yeah, I just did draw the Devoted Druid, and he doesn't have any response to it. And I'm basically just flashing in Ballista in front of him. Well, that's Hangerback Walker, just because the 4 Ballistas I have are in the Tron deck. And I've cut the Hangerbacks from the Tron deck, so that's a functional proxy for testing. But yeah, here goes game 1 before sideboarding. Casual turn 4 kill on the play, which is a very, kind of easy thing to do with this deck, but it doesn't happen all the time. I've seen builds actually play sets of all the key cards, but my problem with that is that those cards don't really do that much on their own. In addition to that, I think even more decks will now feature some copies of Surgical Extraction in their sideboards. And at the Grand Prix, I expect simply to have a lot of decks with Surgicals in the sideboard to take a large share of the metagame and of the field of the tournament. Therefore, if I somehow decide to actually submit company for Copenhagen, then I'm pretty sure I will mark their Red Cap Archangel Afun as Spike Feeder over 4 copies of the Vizier and Devoted, and possibly would also take 1 Ronus in over a 2nd Ballista, just to diversify things, and also because, well, Ballista is good and it's great in the mirror, and so on. But one of the crucial things is that there could be some, crazy set of circumstances when people in the mirror or from other decks might just side in a Stony Silence against you, so that your Ballista doesn't actually kill them, and then you have infinite life. So I've seen a list of Absent Company with Stony in the sideboard, and if you don't have Thronus, then yes, Stony Silence could actually be a really good hoser, because there's like Abrupt Decay and Maelstrom Pulse and Quasali Mage, but still, it could be a thing, although it's very narrow. It's super narrow. But it might come out of, like, not just the mirror. It might come out of other decks too. So Temple into a map is a good start. I just have a Force into Noble, which is also a decent start. That's Ghost Quarter and Ratchet Bomb. Pretty good, fine start. He could, charge up the bomb and then crack the map before he actually uses it. I'm not sure which land he's supposed to fetch out of him. Oh yeah, in addition to having main deck Ratchets, there's also one main deck Warping Whale, because I think it's like just safe to have a copy of that card main deck. Uh, why I have them at all is because of this matchup and because this card is never really dead. It's just like having Censor in your deck, basically. You can always sort of cycle it by making a Scion. And because I needed to do some movement, so I moved one Batterskull to the sideboard. So I have my Batterskulls and colors in the side, which might not be the best thing ever, but if you have Chalice's main deck, which I made a split of like 3 in 1 just because sometimes you just get flooded with them, I'd much rather to side in the 4th one. Yeah. So with Chalice main, running color main is kinda tricky. So crack the Fetchland here, okay, to cast the kitchen things, I suppose? Or was that a witness? Well, I'm definitely fetching here. I mean, definitely fetched because, like, shuffling the deck. I guess that's the kitchen things. I assume. Whatever free drops I have in the deck. Okay, that's a Mind Stone. Or perhaps I just fetched the Shockland and... oh no, that might have been a Devoted Druid here. It does look like that to me. So basically all these glares on the cards is not exactly the light's fault, but it's just a typical thing that happens if you double sleeve your card. Because of the bubbles and the kind of the air, the space between the sleeves and so on when you double sleeve. So that's why like the visibility actually, you know, becomes worse. So here's another noble off of the first noble. And, well, what can I say? I think I cast it because why not, and because I anyway had 4 up for a company. And yeah, he has a Ratchet on the 1, but this way I'm kind of like provoking him to use it now, while it actually doesn't matter all that much. Okay, so he cracks the map off of the land and Mind Stone, and I suppose he's gonna crack the Ratchet here. Or was it the Chalice on one? No, it was Ratchet, because otherwise that second noble would just get counted. So just look at how much work it actually does, even though sometimes it's not enough, right? But on average it's pretty huge. And having 1 off against Death Shadow is also like pretty sick, because you would maybe want 2 in that matchup, if not like 3 even. But you just can't have that much space for everything inside in this format. But yeah, it's just 1 off, so it's not gonna be too bad in across the format spectrum. He might have drawn here or something. I'm not sure what he fetched out here. Maybe he already laid out the one he fetched with the map. Maybe he's still one of 1 Tron piece off. So that's an Endbringer, which kind of threatens to take over the game. I'm not sure why he did not use the Ratchet now, because that gives me a lot of mana next turn. Maybe he was waiting for this. And this way, for example, I can't put Vizier into play or other one-drops, the mana dorks. I guess he was just like waiting to see what happens here, because this company or chord was kind of telegraphed. So this way he actually gets to see what's coming down and maybe wait and then go crack the Wretched for 2. Okay, here's the Seer plus kitchen things. So yeah, with Seer in play, I kind of can convert those nobles into good scries in case he wants to use up the Wretched now. And I'm just Vizier away from the life combo. And with Devoted in play, that Vizier will spell like a lot of mana. So cracking that fetch now. Yeah, all his dust is also like sick in situations like that. But you kinda have to get there first, so that's why main deck Wretched and Warping Whale are so good. Of course, there are also 3 copies of Dismember in the main deck. That's also pretty relevant. Among things, it's really good to have it against Grixis Death Shadow, for example. Just having the 3rd Dismember in main deck, that's really huge in that matchup. Because that's instant side out against spam. That's come on. Okay, here's the Fiend Hunter. So with the trigger on the stack, I'm eating it to the Seer to get rid of it permanently. In case there would be some dismembers happening, or all his dust or Karn, for instance. Alright, so what am I trying to do here? Okay, I'm basically baiting the activation of the Ratchet here, I should say. So I'm getting... So 1 mana into pull. Now I'm trying to untap it, so he can respond. He can respond to that by nuking away 2 nobles and the Seer, which is probably the opportunity he should take. I don't think it's time to get greedy here. But the problem is, like, if he doesn't and lets me to untap it, then I get another money to pull, and then I have a chance to use the nobles and so on, so that I'll have just enough to activate this governing township to spread the counters. This way. So what happens? No, was it already on 2? I think it was on 2. Okay, so it wasn't 2. Sorry, I'm like somehow missed that part. So that forced him to basically hit his own Mindstone, but that's not a huge tragedy. If he was really scared of seeing like a company or Vizier, yeah, he could just, no, yeah, he was basically playing around with the company. If I just cast Vizier, he could respond. But if I cast company, then, well, Then if I cast Company, he still can respond. But I guess it's just safer this way because that gets me off Township activation in here. So I just attacked for 5 with the kitchen things. So putting him down to 15. Yeah, that's a tricky situation. But I've had some relatively decent draws here. And of course, like many combo matchups, they get better after sideboard. And not having Voltron does hurt, I suppose. So he decides to, what is it, knock away Township now. I'm not sure that was smart, but maybe he had all the mana that he needed at that point. Well, I suppose if there was a time to use it, that was probably now, unless he had, all his dust or something. Okay, here's a Warping Whale targeting Viziers here. Of course, it's not gonna get exiled, it's just gonna get, sacrificed for this Christ. Okay, so now he's saying that he made a mistake. He should have first cast a Veil and then go Squatter, and we kind of pretend that he did it in that order, so that my Scry just doesn't matter. Because in this situation, I think getting the land, the basic from the quarter, is more important than just keeping the Scry. Although if that would have been, something like Company, well, he could have, maybe responds to it himself, right? Like, goes quartering, I'm starting to search, and then in response to that, Warping Whale. I think that works. Something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, fetch the basic here, just shuffling. Now, what is his plan? So, I have the technical proxy for Ballista in play, with 2 counters on. That's from last turn. That could get scary with each turn passed. Okay, aside from the Veil, he didn't really have anything else. That's pretty sad, but what can you do? Sometimes you don't get there. So, what should I say? Tron game 1 is probably not at its best against Company. While Tron is like quite decent against Death Shadow game 1. Both have decent Shadow matchup, but Tron is a little bit better at that. It's just much harder to hate on Eldrazi Tron, I would say. And I kept only Seagate and 4 quarters. I cut all Caverns. I maybe will play a Buried Ruin, but I'm not so sure of that. Chances are I will probably just keep the 3rd Wastes in the deck, just because there are lots of paths and lots of Ghost Quarters and stuff like that around, and Fulminators. Well, Fulminators, that doesn't matter, but yeah. And sometimes you just draw those wastes. And yeah, like 1 quarter plus a path, and if you drew a waste naturally, then you have nothing to search. So it's annoying. It's annoying. It is definitely annoying. think that's another company here. Flipped out Seer plus Witness. Witness getting back company. Oh, and the previous one at his end flipped Witness and something, so is that another Seer? No. Okay, basically, at his end, when he just cast Reshaper and Pest, he cast a company that flips some stuff, including a Witness. Witness got back company. And now, during my turn, I went for another company that I returned previously, flipped into another Witness that returned it back. So now I'm gonna cast it another time. Oh yeah, so first company on his turn flipped to Devoted, so that this is why I can actually do this. We're just figuring out where the hell this Devoted entered, or I mean when. Because I just get so excited and engaged in the process that I forgot when things entered. So here's a third company in a row. That's pretty busted, I should say. That is definitely busted. Okay, what did it hit? Okay, so in response to that company, we collectively decided that I should scry away a bunch of nonsense from the top just to try to hit the combo. So I ate both Witness and 2 mana drugs. What did I hit? Vizier plus something. Vizier plus an Offensa. Just to be on the safer side. Yeah, and with Ballista already in play, that's enough. Because you can just charge it up whilst it's in play. Just whatever amount of 4 mana activations. And that should do it. Because I think he did not have a responding here. This is pretty busted draws though, like 3 companies in a row. That's not something that will happen that often. But yeah, there's been some hate as well. But no Footnotes, no Smashers, no Ballistas of his own, no Alastas, no Dismember, no Karn, which would have still helped. Actually. So yeah. And now I think we're moving to sideboard, I'm not sure. When was that? Yeah, now we're moving to sideboard. I think I was just explaining to him here, using Italian language basically, with gestures, telling that it's good to, start actually with the sideboard games, just not to make this thing last forever. Because when you're testing, okay, it's good to have a good total number of games for a matchup, but let's say you have a team having a test day, test evening, and you have a bunch of different matchups, so you can always come back to a certain matchup, but it's good to have a good picture about your deck across the range of matchups and stuff like that. So I have a few things. So I have a Maelstrom Pulse in here. I could board in a Abrupt Decay. Paths are definitely coming in some numbers. Some number of Tide Hollows, Colors. Big Game Hunter is pretty sick in this matchup, for example. Pride Mage is probably coming in too. But the point is that you don't want to dilute your deck too much. This is why, I'm not boarding all of the stuff, so maybe like board it in like one or two scholars, just as a tutor target. So the idea, I think, in matchups like this is to basically just trim down the combo pieces. I think I had a functional like proxy for the 4th Vizier I had in the deck here. So this was pretty close to Brett Carpenter's list that I think won the SCG Classic event. Yeah. So you basically cut one Vizier, cut one Druid, cut one Recruiter, cut one of the two Ballistas. What else? Cut one Mana Dork, at least cut one or two chords, because they're heavy in the face of all the removal and things. Yeah. I think you actually want decays and Maelstrom before extra paths. So that's the thing, because once you break Chalice, or most importantly something like Cage or Needle, you have more powers than, let's say, if you just path a random creature of his, because his creatures are not, well, they damage, but not as much as, for example, Death Shadow, and they're not as crucial as creatures in the mirror match. So yeah, you trim down things here and there in order to fit in the counter answers. Yeah. Not sure. There's a chance that I just had Stony Silence that day in the deck, but maybe not. I think I just had like two Ballistas there or something. So yeah, like one of everything. Oh yeah, plus the Tireless Tracker. I'm not sure if like 2 is the correct number, but you want at least one Tireless Tracker somewhere in your 75 in the company deck, that's for sure. Bringing in one here because it's a battle of resources. So I'm first thinking whether I want a second path and a second scholar, but I think Tracker is actually pretty sweet here because, well, it's a resources battle after sideboard, and because of the, so I'm putting it back in over second scholar, but setting in like 2 paths. And paths are much more important in the mirror, but here there are just some means to survive. I think the same evening before testing against Death Shadow, I've swapped to some card in the side to fit in a Big Game Hunter. I'm not sure what it was exactly. There's a chance I've just cut the Selfless Spirit, which might be wrong, but it felt right. Selfless is okay against all the sweepers. It's kind of like a one-time Spellskite as well, and it is a bit more on its own than Spellskite. And right now in the format, this kite is just not that great. Outside of its main purpose, it's not really hosing any deck in the meta. This is why I think it's not really a must. And then if you play with 3 to 4 copies of Eternal Witness in the deck, then I think Selfless is even less important, because then you shouldn't care all too much about sweepers, since you're just returning all those companies and chords back to your hand. So yeah, random mass removal doesn't matter that much. And with things like the Squatch Recruiter, you can find enough action, plus with the tracker as well, and so on. And yeah, we haven't seen completely no draws from Eldrazi so far. Okay, again, I was a bit too fast. Didn't wait for him to confirm his grip. Okay, I think he kept his 6. But because we're changing turns, so it's going back and forth in terms of who starts, not dependent on who's won the previous game or what. Okay, just me searching and fetching at the end of his turn. He just started off with a temple, and that's it. Fetched up a goodly shrine here, so this is a black-white shockland. I guess I wanted early access to black mana just to cast Decay, Seer, what else? Pulse. It's always a stretch to even this mana base to run things like Fulminator Mage. It's pretty tough for the deck. First into Squatch Recruiter. Nothing super exciting, but if he doesn't do anything turn 2, well, kind of, I feel like I talked him into using this Dismember to take out this guy, basically saying that this matchup is about tempo, and okay, I can be playing as a fairy deck and just try to beat down, but actually with the Vizier version it happens much less often. Okay, no turn to play. He later would actually tell me that this dismember was maybe a mistake. Maybe like too early or something. Because he didn't have a turn 2 play, or he perhaps didn't have a turn 3 play either. So we sadly no Tron. So Needlefoot, not Seer, and what? An unspell Surgical, I think. Yeah, Surgical. I take the Seer because the other two don't really matter all too much just yet. Kinda lucky to. That was really lucky for me to draw that Scala there now, because he would otherwise play it out this turn 3. So he goes for a Needle. I suppose naming Devoted Druid. But there could be turns when we've already, like... So there could be turns where naming Ballista would be good. With access to surgicals, you get a lot of, information, what to name for the needle, even in some random matchups. Same goes for surgical, I guess. Okay, here's basically a ballistic proxy in hand. There's a path, which probably should be the target. Oh no. Chord of Calling is kind of the obvious choice here, because that would have allowed me to just go for infinite life. Yeah, just double checked the wording on the Seer about when I get to draw a card. So my thought process this turn was that if I cast a path on the Seer, first I get to see what I draw, and then I can proceed accordingly with my turn. So that's what I do. Pathing to Seer to see what's up. So let's see what's gonna happen here. Well, attacks is with both guys because he doesn't really have a board. So going to select beatdowns because of that dismember. He's already down to 9. There's nothing yet crazy to surgical here though. But the point is that like I didn't guide his sideboarding in this matchup, and I think he did mistakes. He boarded in the right cards, but I think he took out the wrong cards when he sided in this matchup. He just scoops it up here because, well, he, as I like to call it, he didn't get any traction. Yeah, now he's explaining to me that maybe like Dismember wasn't really great play, but why not? If he just kept it alive, and he didn't have like turn 2 play, I think. Well, he could have, he could have cast Needle turn 2. I don't remember what he cast instead. No, I guess he just didn't have the Needle. available as a play turn 2. Maybe he just wanted to see more things. Maybe he wanted to make me actually cast a turn 2. That's why he didn't play a turn 2, I guess. But no, I think he had the chance to, you know, avoid my recruiter flipping, because then that could spell some trouble when I have my creatures for 1 cheaper. Could have dumped a lot of stuff, I think. Like things plus a mana dork, for example. So that's a lot of tempo. Just kind of like acting as a mana dork slash engine. Okay, that's game 4. So far, so good. But I've had some lucky hits and lucky draws with the deck. An opponent, whilst playing well, but he mis-sideboarded, I think. You're gonna see that after this game. So now we see how the draws should be lining up. Okay, now turn 1 mana dork or seer is huge here, but I wouldn't say that's not likely. Okay, well, normally the builds have like 8 1-drops, like 2 seers and 2 doubles and 4 birds. That's the average. So it's not unlikely to not hit any in the starting hand. He's gonna have a kind of natural turn 3 Tron online that would unlock the full power of the deck. Thick it into Duskwatch. The average turn. Things are gonna get real crazy real soon. Because with Tron mana online, it will be hard to keep up. It would be super hard to keep up. But not impossible. If he doesn't have enough action or answers, you can always just try to go for combo, just jump block and hope that you find them. But here's a smasher. Turn 3 smasher with still 2 mana up. That's that's what Eldrazi's do. Because if I fall down to 14, he has 2 up, but I guess nothing much to use that mana for. All attacking first, not blocking with that thing anyway. Here's a Vizier. Nothing crazy right now, but still some solid plays. So, but the problem is, well, with the Voted Druid, you kinda want to untap with it, right? Because you can't go off instantly if you didn't have it already in play. So I would say that I'm 1 turn behind. If I had Druid over Vizier this turn, then I would have been much better. Not blocking, because I still have the chance of going company into 0 plus things. So there's a chance of that. I'm falling down to 4. I can afford to, okay, here's a ballista for, what is it, for 2. So after the fetch, I'm not dead yet. So just look at this and understand that, okay, without like very lucky flips, the company deck can be like really crushed. Still have the chance. So with the company deck, most of the time it's wrong to scoop up too early, since you could have like flips into instant life combo that puts you back into the game. Then if they wipe out your board, uh, you just bought yourself a lot of time, unless they're like infect or um, they have a lab maniac main deck, for example, from the ad nauseum combo deck. Okay, so I had a basic there as my land 4, I think, and the company. Well, there's always a chance of drawing it. Okay, here's the basic. I think I had company 2. He stepped out, but he has a ballista out. So yeah, that means is that no matter, even if I hit the life combo, I try to activate it and then he just knocks away Vizier and then the Seer, something like that. It's pretty crazy. Okay, he was on the play, but this is my turn 4, and even if I hit the combo, because of the ballista, he just stops that. That is just absolute nuts. That is just absolute nuts. So yeah, scoop it up because there's just no way out of this. If he had, I don't know, fought nuts here or whatever, there was still a chance to win, which is kind of crazy, I know, but there was still a chance. And oh yeah, chocolate coffee is dope. That's a great thing to have around the house. So yeah, that would be game 5 coming up. So free one. But what was it? Yeah, so 2 post sideboard games. And we're actually taking turns in terms of who starts. So yeah, it is a factor. It's a huge factor, I should say, actually, in this matchup. Oftentimes the difference between winning and losing, for sure. I think my phone was charging at that time. That's why we don't have the live pad going on. A friend with the same app on the phone just didn't arrive when we were recording this. And yes, I know, I do have an energy bank, but if I'm not actually traveling, I don't really carry it around with me. Because, energy costs. Energy costs. You can sort of charge it everywhere, but still, it's not like you can do it all the time anywhere. especially on the go. Once we have city buses with sockets in them or something like that, then we're talking. Then we're talking. Don't get surprised by a low and kind of quiet voice from me now in this step, because I wanted to bring this to you as fast as possible. So yeah, I'm trying to be as polite of a neighbor as possible. So in commentating on this at night, even with nobody else in the apartment, but still, gotta respect the neighbors. This is just who I am. But because of increased volume when recording and commentating, I think you should be able to hear me well. So yeah, basically turn between the two decks. The third option was Blue-Red Storm, the Barrel Gifts build. But yeah, it just didn't feel good. I like the deck, sometimes you get lucky, but, well, what can I say? Just too unstable. Plus I imagine all the flavors of Death Shadow will be constituting to a pretty huge percentage of the GP field, even though I heard about like people just playing all kinds of decks there.